So now we'll bring out the third speaker for today before our break. Ben Liu, the investment partner of Mesh Ventures. He's going to talk about nailing the funding equation. Thank you.
The mic? Where's the... Okay, hi everybody. My name is Ben. And today I'm here to speak with you guys about nailing the funding equation for all the entrepreneurs and would-be entrepreneurs in the audience. So first of all, a little bit of background about myself and my fund. We are a fund based out of Taipei, Taiwan. We do specifically Internet of Things related investments globally. And we do them pretty early. We get in at the seed or Series A stage. Our ticket sizes range from up to 1 million at the seed stage and around 1 to 3 million at the Series A. So I know a lot of people in the audience may or may not have experience raising money. But I'm pretty sure most, if not all of you guys, have had experience dating. So I'm going to take a more personable slant to this, where something everybody can relate to. So the first thing is, good things take time, okay? And I'll dig deeper into each of these bullet points later. And when you're raising money, your investors and yourself and your company, you guys are in for a long-term relationship. This could span from anywhere from 3 years to 7 years to 10 plus years. So be very aware of what you're getting into. And lastly, like with any relationship, open communication is the key to success. So let's get to it. First of all, let's begin the chase. So when you guys are looking for boyfriend or girlfriend or someone to date, you need to know what the playing field looks like. Who are your options? And once you have a pool of options, let's say 3 to 5 or maybe 10 of you, or maybe 10, you need to understand her type. And in investment terms, what this relates to is knowing what the fund's stage, size, industry, and region. Because you don't want to be an O2O platform trying to raise money from an IoT fund like us. It's just not part of our strategy, right? And you're wasting your time. The second thing is prepare yourself to go on the initial date, right? And this is putting together your pitch deck and having a very clear-cut story. I will talk a little bit more about this later, so we can save the questions for towards the end. And finally, as with any type of relationship, even with your investors, you want to keep in contact, but you don't want to come off as needy. You don't want to be calling your investors every other day asking if they've made a decision, because they will understand that you're under pressure, and most likely they'll come back and start cutting you on valuation because they know you're under stress. Okay? And for a startup context, this is providing regular business updates. I think maybe once a month or anytime you have any significant milestones achieved, you want to shoot your investors an email or give them a nice quick call and just let them know how you're doing and what you've accomplished since you last spoke. The second point I'd like to make is the pretty girl is not always the best choice for you. Okay. What this means is that a lot of startups focus on the valuation that your investors are giving you and fail to see past the valuation and into the terms. Okay? So again, really understand what the terms are and don't focus on that one number. Second is you need to understand your date's personality and style. So every VC has their own unique culture, and you need to be able to work with these guys for years after you raise money. So don't jump into a relationship just because they offered you, the best valuation, or it was the prettiest girl in the room. Third, get to know our friends and family. Money is a commodity, right? My money is the same as your money. That's true, but yet that's not always the case. you want to raise money from an investor that can bring a lot of additional value to you and your firm. So understand what kind of strategic relationships you're looking for your company, and understand what resources and relationships your investor can bring to the table. If you are a US company looking to enter into Asia, it doesn't really make sense to raise money from a European VC, right? You probably want to raise money here or in China or from a fund like us based out of Taiwan or Singapore. So third, close the deal and live happily ever after. First thing is, I know a lot of people, once they get a term sheet, they start celebrating. That is very, very premature. I would highly suggest against doing that. I've done investments for close to 7 years now, and I know for a fact that the deal is not done until the money is in the bank. Even if you sign an SPA and SHA and all that good stuff, until the investor's money is in your bank account, the deal is not done yet. So again, do not celebrate prematurely. And finally, back to the first point I made, open communication is the key to lasting success. We investors, we love getting the great updates. Hey, guess what? We just killed last quarter. Our revenues went up, 50% month over month, and we hit break even. That's always amazing news to hear from any portfolio. But as much as we like to know the good news, we need to know the bad news. Because at the end of the day, we're here to help you succeed. We're on the same boat as you, so we cannot help you if you're not very upfront about the problems you're facing. So again, don't call your investor up 3 days before you run out of cash and say, hey, guess what? We don't have any money left. You need to give them adequate time to help you solve that problem. So for fundraising, if you're running out of money, I would say let them know 3 to 6 months ahead so they can start helping you prepare your new deck and reaching out to some of their contacts that do later stage investments and making those introductions. Okay, so I believe a lot of people will have some questions on how to design a good pitch deck. This is my personal opinion. I won't say this is the one and only. So let's get to it. So the best pitches are short and sweet, just like how they teach you to do an elevator pitch, right? I've received decks that have been 40 to 50 to 100 slides. Quite frankly, I never read past slide 5, okay? So if you bombard me with information and random facts and don't catch my attention, I'm not even gonna read it. And then when they ask you what you thought, they're just gonna say, guess what, we weren't that interested. So normally, I would suggest a good amount of slides for your initial pitch deck should be around 10 to 12. Sometimes 15 will do, but in no way ever go above 20 slides, at least initially. And your slide title should read like a storyline. Again, everybody loves stories, right? If you love stories, we love stories too. So tell me a sexy story. Again, going back to the storyline outline, each slide title should be a statement. Don't say team. Don't say financials, right? Point out the main. I should be able to know exactly what your slide says without even reading the content. I should only have to read the title, and I should know exactly what you're trying to get across. The content is just there to support that statement. Again, those 40 to 50 slide decks that I've received, they're trying to put everything that they have available in one deck. There's no way I'm going to be able to understand that without speaking with you, right? So boil it down to the main points and make that storyline very compelling. And finally, again, the key is to catch the investor's attention. You will know if they're interested or not first of all, if they don't respond to you, obviously you're done, right? And if they're interested, they'll start asking you a lot of questions. And that's when you know you have them on the hook. So on a 10 or 12 slide deck, how should I outline it, right? First of all, you need to tell us what the problem you are trying to solve is, okay? Because every problem on the flip side is opportunity. What is the problem? How big is it? Second, why is your solution the best solution for this particular problem? And finally, why is this team the team that's going to make it happen? So that's my 2 cents. I'll open the floor up for any Q&A.
Any questions?
Yeah, out of all the deals you've looked at in your 7 years, can you give an example of one that you invested in, and maybe a couple of things that they did really right that caught your attention, and some of the things maybe about the product or the service that really drew you to make that investment?
Okay, I think first of all, the problem has to be big enough, right? It has to be a problem usually for VCs, right? We're in new businesses, new industries. It has to be something that probably nobody has really thought about addressing yet. So it's a blue ocean market, okay? We're not interested in going into a market with 100 other competitors and basically the product is a commodity, okay? What catches my attention usually is the composition of the team is perfect for whatever solution they're trying to solve or whatever problem they're trying to solve. If you're building software, don't come to me with 5 hardware engineers, right? We've seen hardware startups that also dabble in software, and it was all software guys. And when we asked them, how are you going to fix the hardware? The answer was one of the most memorable and one of the most outlandish I've ever heard. Oh, we're going to raise $5 million on Kickstarter and we're just going to throw money at the problem, right? It's not what we wanted to hear. And obviously we didn't invest in that company. And we told all our friends not to invest in them either.
So thank you for your questions. Anyone else?
You mentioned a bit about valuations. So when you're a seed level or a Series A level investor, how do you determine valuation? Do you look at later rounds or do you look at whatever metrics you use?
This is a tough one, actually. So valuation, especially at the startup level, is more of an art rather than a science, right? Even when you're doing private equity, mature company valuations, there's a lot of assumptions you have to make that help you get to that final number. And that final number is not an absolute. It's always, I feel, right? So the simple answer is you can give them an expected valuation, and let's say you think your startup is worth $20 million. If you have an investor that's willing to pony up at 20 million, you have your valuation, right? It's a market. But if you want to be a little bit more scientific about it, I think that the rule of thumb to do is at the seed stage, you're probably looking at 20% dilution. Okay, so whatever amount you need for the next 2 to 3 years, that should be about 20% of what this company is worth. At the Series A, it's probably very similar, also around 20%. Series B, probably 10 to 15, or maybe even up to 20. C, probably around 10 and sometimes 15. D, and then the dilution gets smaller as the company gets more mature, but that's under normal market conditions where people expect that there will be other investors coming in at higher valuations in later rounds. In some of the market conditions we've seen recently, why are investors so hesitant? Because you have all the unicorns taking 50% haircuts, right? So nobody's willing to pony up that high valuation when there's so much uncertainty about the future.
So one last question. Thank you, Ben. Thank you so much for your presentation.